All right, everybody. Happy 4th of July weekend. Today, coming up here on Green with Envy, Old Man in the Three. We're going to talk a little bit about his Dame time coming to Boston. Didn't think that was on my radar for the summer, but we'll talk about the rumors that are out there. Al Horford still out there. What's going to happen with Al? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then it's the offseason. So we're waiting for Summer League to start. We're waiting for some of these deals to go final. So we're going to have a little bit of fun today. We got some trivia coming up here, sponsored by Alex, the video intern. He's going to put Greg and I to the test. All that and more coming up next here on Green with Envy. You guys know the deal. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy. As I mentioned, a happy 4th of July weekend to all of you out there. Hopefully you guys are having a good weekend, throwing a couple beers back, throwing a couple of dogs and burgers on the grill, having a good time. Maybe you're at the beach, whatever you're doing. Hope that you have had a great weekend. As always, this is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Joining me as he does each and every time, my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Manakis. Greg, good to see you on a Sunday morning, 10 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, man, good to see you too. I don't know how your 4th of July weekend has been, but for the listeners out there, ours kind of took a turn for the worse here. Not only for my family, but also for Texas in the Austin area, where there's this like crazy flash flood. A bunch of kids at a camp were like swept away, literally still missing. So thoughts and prayers to everybody out there at Camp Mystic and in the Kerrville, Fredericksburg area. And then for my family, man, you know, James, my baby, his birthday is actually July 4th, and we were planning on having the third birthday celebration for him because we've already had a couple with family back.
I'm 0 for 3 as the Godfather. I'm 0 for 3. I haven't had a chance to celebrate him once yet.
I know it's been sad, but he actually came down with hand, foot, and mouth virus. And for anybody out there that doesn't know about hand, foot, and mouth virus, it sounds made up. They could call it anything because it hasn't really affected his hand, feet, or mouth. It's mostly been on his arms, his butt, and his legs. And I feel bad for the kid. And it's been raining, so we even if he didn't have this, we wouldn't have been able to have a party for him anyway. But it's been a weird weekend, man. We've definitely thrown back a couple beers once he's gone to bed. We've been watching a lot of Survivor the last couple of weeks. I had never seen the show Survivor before, so Danielle,
I've never seen it either.
It's pretty good.
I've seen one episode. I've seen maybe like 1 or 2 episodes. I remember like the first year that it was on, because it's kind of like we grew up in that generation where like
I think
Survivor,
the first year was
American Idol, like a few other things were just like you couldn't escape it, right? And so I still remember the dude that won was Richard Hatch. And so I remember watching like little bits and pieces of that. And I don't know. I don't know what year that was. I want to say that was probably like 2002, 3. I don't know, somewhere in that range.
I think it was.
It's. What was it? 2000? Okay, so it just never really. I don't know. I never really thought the need to go back. Tell me what you've enjoyed about it.
So we started with a more recent season than the Richard.
And wait, real quick, is this something Danielle, your wife or your fiance, is this something that she watches, she's getting you into, or you both decided like, hey, let's give this a shot together?
I don't know why she decided she wanted to watch it, but she's seen, I think, 5 or 6 seasons of it. And are you familiar with Boston Rob, by the way?
I know the name. I know a few of the characters. Like I know Boston Rob, and I know Mike White, the guy who created White Lotus, is like a recurring contestant on it.
Yeah. So we didn't start with the Boston Rob season. We started with a season that was what was the dude's name? I forget the dude's name, but he was this little like gnome looking dude, and he was I guess he's like super famous for being like the most devious player in Survivor history. I'll have to text Danielle as we're talking to figure out what his name is. I can't believe I'm forgetting it right now. Alex, I don't know if you remember. So we started with that season, and I was like, this show's kind of sick. And like everybody was kind of struggling, you know, people that are listening are like, is he describing the show Survivor right now? Yes, I'm describing the show Survivor right now because I haven't seen it before. But we ended up going back and watching the all-star season that has Richard Hatch on it, the first winner, and Boston Rob. And Danielle put it on, and she was like, do you know why I put this on? I was like, is that Boston Rob? Like, I think I know that name. And the more we've been watching it, I think the weirdest part about it is both of us are like, am I Boston Rob, just like the half Asian version of him and just like a little bit younger? Because I kind of weirdly look like him.
I've seen pictures of him. I don't. You've made some outlandish comparisons in the past. This is
mhm.
not one of them. This I could see the vision of. One of our friends also texted us in the current Marvel show Ironheart. There's a villain called the Hood, which is Anthony Ramos. If you know who he is, he's an actor. There's in Hamilton and been some other stuff. Who also has a vague resemblance in certain ways, especially if like it's just like your mustache and beard is very aligned to I think both of these guys. If I'm correct, if I'm thinking of Boston Rob correctly,
Yeah, he's Italian. But I it's been
he's an
weird.
Italian that you're like, did he got a little Latino in him? Is he a little Hispanic? Like
It's
you would.
mostly when the facial hair comes out, right? Yeah, but let's see. We got some private chats here from Alex. Um, sh- Alex says he loves Survivor. Russell, yes. Alex, thank you. Russell is the little gnome guy that was like I guess he's super famous in terms of like the way he revolutionized the game of Survivor. Because this dude, so one of the things that they end up doing in later seasons, is they put these little like immunity charms around the camp. And nobody had ever, like, you need clues to find them. And this dude was like, you know what? I'm just going to go find these things. I know that they exist. So I'm just going to go look for them. Like, they have to be around the camp. They're going to be in weird places. And he just like found all of them during his season. And everybody was like, how the hell is this dude? And he
You know
makes
what
up.
that's like?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, you know what that reminds me of is, and I can't remember who it was the guy from Jeopardy, who everyone used to have to. They always felt compelled they had to go like the 200, the 400, the 600 question,
Yeah.
and I think it was that guy James Holzer or Hauser, I forget how you say his name, where he was like, "Fuck this, I'm just gonna go to the $1,000 questions like right off. I'm just gonna go all over the board and like I'm gonna go to the high value ones so that if I get these, then all of a sudden like all you have left is $100. You're not catching me, and I got $2,000 questions right to start."
Yeah.
So it's that guy who comes in like after years and years of everyone doing the same strategy. It's just a complete disruptor.
Alex says he and his roommates do drafts for all the players and for Survivor. And he says that dude is a crazy player, referring to Russell. Everybody hates him. It was weird though, because let me finish my thought though. So with Russell, dude, he lies about being a survivor of Hurricane Katrina. He tells everybody that he survived Hurricane Katrina and he's actually like a millionaire oil company owner. And the whole season, everybody thinks
Scum of
that,
the earth.
yeah, he's telling everyone that he's a really good guy. Like, actually, outside of this, he's like, I'm here to play a game. I'm here to win another $1 million. I'm going to go ahead and do it. He actually doesn't win. Spoiler for that season. It's like the girl that he brings with him to the end ends up winning. But on the reunion, I guess everybody loves him at this point. Alex says everybody hates him now, but at the reunion, the fans vote him to win like an extra $100,000 or something like that. So he ended up getting a little bit of money, but
Still gross.
He was actually really interesting. It's like such a unique perspective into human nature. And I can't believe that in the year 2025, this is the first time I've ever seen the show Survivor. And I recommend checking it out, man. It's a good way to spend the summer when there's literally no sports to talk about.
That's fair. That's a fair point. And as you're describing this, who I'm thinking would be excellent on Survivor?
Who?
Joe Mazzulla.
Oh my God. Joe Mazzulla would be
everything you just described, basically about being a mixture of a sociopath and a psychopath, kind of fits like in the lane where Mazzulla would see his sociopathic tendencies as not being sociopathic because he's playing a game and it's all about how to win. And then he would, I don't know, like if there's an NBA version of this, or even just once Mazzulla is no longer the coach of the Celtics at some point, this feels like this feels like Joe Mazzulla's destiny.
I agree with that, man. I agree with that. Is there any other player on the Celtics or, past Celtics that you think could have been a good survivor? I mean, they're all great athletes, but I think part of the issue with Survivor,
the mental part. I think the mental part is what we're more focusing on. So obviously the Joe Mazzulla Baylor Shireman story made the rounds a couple weeks ago. I think he was on one of the podcasts with Bobby Manning and Noah Dalzell, and he wasn't talking about. Torrey Craig was talking about it, where like him and Mazzulla just had this weird mental standoff of who's going to go through the door first, which I don't know. That sounds like a miserable workplace to me. But maybe Baylor Shireman is someone that's entering his name. I don't know enough about Baylor Shireman yet, but maybe that's a guy that we can start to track. Other guys that we know that we think could mentally be motivated in this game. I'm trying to think. Maybe Marcus Smart. I don't know. Maybe that's a guy that I could see.
Here's part of
Go
it.
ahead.
I think that with we're gonna bring Alex on to talk about Survivor here in a second. With Survivor, there's like you're literally in the wilderness, right? Obviously, there's a camera crew at any point. Like there's medical people there that can come save you. They can bring boats in and take you off if you really don't want to be there. But if you're too used to like the lap of luxury, where a lot of these players at this point are, they probably won't want to like go grime it out for 40 days. So I think Joe Mazzulla would appreciate it. I think Marcus Smart, growing up the way he grew up, he would probably just like relish the opportunity to do it. But let's bring on Alex really quickly.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, man? Okay, first of all,
you're the expert, Alex.
Answer the question about the Celtics. Who do you think would be a great contestant on the show Survivor?
I think Joe would be good. I think Jalen would be good because Survivor, you have to like go sometimes days without eating, and he's been fasting. So
Good
I
point.
think that he would be a good survivor.
Also great underwater. So if it was on an island, he could go spear fishing and go dive and kill some fish for everybody.
I don't know. It's kind of like you also have to like really want to do it if you don't want to be there. I mean, there's been people before who have like gone on the show, and then I remember like 2 seasons ago, some girl was like, "I miss my vape," and then she just left the show.
I miss my vape. That's
of all things. That is one of the most mentally weak reasons to ever leave the island. That is, she didn't deserve to even be there in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be something that you're fully committed to. I know Jimmy Johnson actually was on Survivor.
The old football coach, Jimmy Johnson?
Old football coach, yeah.
How'd he do?
Yeah. He did okay. He lasted like 7 days or whatever. He got voted out. And I know there's been ex-basketball players and football players who have gone on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm imagining they've done all-star celebrity type events for Survivor as well too. So that's interesting. I think let's actually get to a little bit of basketball here, because I think what we can do now, if we're gonna get in on the Survivor train, let's come up with our Survivor cast of our NBA Survivor cast. That will be a later episode that I think we can try to come up with who are the best 12, if we had to cast it for 12 guys that are realistic possibilities. I think that.
Can I ask one more question though? So Alex, how crazy is it to you, as someone who's a huge fan of Survivor, that Will has never seen an episode and I just started watching it?
Not crazy. I didn't watch a single episode until COVID, and then I watched like 12 seasons in a row on Hulu. Okay. And I got really into it. I started with Survivor China, which has they used to go all over the country, like all over the world, and go to different places. Now they just stay in Fiji. But it had like this really jacked dude who was named James, who was a grave digger. And I don't know why. He was like a challenge beast. He made me like really like the show. And then he came back in a couple other seasons, but he also had one of the dumbest plays in Survivor history. So
thoughts on Russell? Thoughts on Russell?
I liked him. I thought he was a really good player. I like when people lie and deceive people, and it makes the show more entertaining. I don't like when it's like all loyalty and stuff like that. It's not as fun.
That is true. That is boring when everyone's just trying to be loyal to each other. That is fair.
I like when like my jaw's on the floor. I'm like what just happened? I don't like being like, oh, there goes the guy that I thought was gonna go home. That's not fun. No one likes that.
So. Thoughts on me kind of looking like Boston Rob?
Yeah, younger Boston Rob. You do look like younger Boston Rob. Now he's kind of ballooned up. He's a little.
I was gonna say, how old is Boston Rob? Because Greg's not that young.
He's like mid-50s now.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
Dude, we have a friend, shout out JT, and down here people called him Boston John. Was that why? Was it because of Boston Rob? Will? Because he does talk. I mean, JT has that like classic Boston accent. Was JT called Boston?
No, it had
John
nothing to do with it. It was just he has a very obvious Boston accent. As far as I know, I think it was someone in his like work office gave it to him, but it had nothing to do with Survivor though.
Okay. Do you want to talk about basketball?
Well, yeah, let's okay. Well, Alex, we'll bring you back in here in a second when we do some trivia. Let's talk a little bit of basketball here. And Greg, I said we do 15 minutes and get the trivia. Not a chance. I did not see this Survivor content going for this long. So for those of you that have gotten here to the basketball portion, we appreciate that. Hopefully, let's mark this when we post this
15 minutes
to when as to when the basketball content starts. So the reason that we're talking Survivor here for 15 minutes is there's not a ton going on right now. We're kind of in that waiting period where things happen really quickly in free agency. Usually July 4th, there's still some big names that need to drop, whether it's trade signings. There just really isn't that. Free agency is kind of becoming this much smaller period. There's just not a lot of movement with bigger names unless it's via trade. So right now we're in this stage of waiting for a lot of things to go final, which may start happening today. We're recording on July 6th. A lot of those moves that have been reported that they're not official, those can start to go official at some point today, tomorrow. So I'm sure, been rumors of the biggest trade in NBA history with 7-8 teams that are all just different versions of signings all coming together. That will probably go official at some point in the next day or two. And then we're just kind of waiting on Summer League to be able to have at least a little bit of basketball to talk about, see how big Hugo Gonzalez's hands actually are, see what we can get from Jamari Williams and different players that are out there. But it's kind of that in-between time. So that's why we talked about Survivor for 15 minutes, but we do have a little bit that we can talk about here. So last episode, the biggest news was whatever the hell the Bucks are doing. They signed Miles Turner. In order to do that, they had to waive and stretch Damian Lillard, now effectively making him a free agent. And 3 teams that have been connected to Damian Lillard, the Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat, and your Boston Celtics. The latest report coming from Gary Washburn that Damian Lillard's interest in the Celtics is directly connected to his friendship with Jason Tatum, who, as we all know, both of them are going through a year-long rehab of their Achilles. So, Greg, let's talk a little bit about this. Damian Lillard, this is a big name. This is a name that before the Celtics got Drew Holiday, a lot of talk of would Dame be a guy the Celtics would go after. I don't think you and I were ever super sold on that idea with the price it would take and for all these different reasons. But this is a different Dame. This is a different time. Dame time. Where let's just talk through. Do you think Damian Lillard on the Celtics makes sense, and obviously factoring in him and Jason Tatum would be rehab buddies for this year before that could even be a possibility with him on the floor?
I think it depends when you bring him onto the team. If you bring him onto the team for this year just to rehab with JT, as important as I think that actually is to have someone to rehab with and to kind of go through the struggles together, because Tatum, just by all his social media posts, is clearly struggling with the mental side of this rehab. Like he's just posting things like to motivate himself. Like his most recent post was just like, just show up, JT, like in quotes. So he's clearly kind of going through it right now. And I think having somebody else to go through that with him would make a lot of sense. I think the issue is just like for this year is roster spots, right? So that would be 2 of your 15 roster spots would be taken up by guys that are rehabbing. So you only got to get through the season with 13 guys and 2-way guys, right? So it'd definitely be putting a little bit of a load on the rest of the guys. So I think if you can figure out a way to keep Dame away from signing with anybody else and get him for the 26-27 season, which is when he would actually be available to play, I'm all in on it. One thing, and I don't know if you saw this. So with the salary portion of it, if he signs more than a minimum, it actually doesn't increase his salary. All it does is decrease the amount that Milwaukee has to pay him. Did you see that?
No, I assume they still had to pay him no matter what he got. That they would
so they have to pay him.
Guaranteed $22 million or whatever it is for the next 5 years.
So this is from Celtics blog, an article that was posted on it, and I think it's in reference to something Keith Smith had said, and basically Dame this year can sign with anybody, right? And if he signs a minimum contract, he makes that extra money, right? So that's the max he can actually get for without affecting the Bucks. So once he goes above the minimum, the Bucks don't have to pay whatever that extra money is, whatever that delta is, right? So say he signs for $10 million and the minimum, was like 5 or something like that. So the Bucks would only have to pay 17 million this year instead of 22 million.
But next year they would, but the next couple of years they still are owed. He would get 20, even if he, so let's say he doesn't sign anywhere this year, next year, open free agency, someone signed him to a $20 million contract. He's now getting $45 million because he's getting $25 million from the Bucks or whatever that number was.
It might. So according to this article, it might be the first 2 years. So we'll have to kind of see about that. We'll do a little bit of digging. Alex, maybe you can look into that a little bit more behind the scenes.
Yeah. Either way, it is a little bit of a chance for Dame to kind of double up and then, just keep building double contracts essentially, going forward. It's interesting thinking about Dame on the Celtics because he's getting that money from Milwaukee. This only works whether it's this year, which I don't think it does if we're, we can't even afford to keep Luke Cornett, right? So it seems pretty crazy that we're then going to take, to your point, 2 roster spots, the 2 guys with Achilles that aren't going to play for a season. Like that just doesn't seem to make sense. So to me, this only is a conversation if Dame is putting off joining a team, which I think he kind of should because so much we've seen how much can change in a year, right? So I just seemed it would be weird for me if he was like, you know what? Yeah, let me go sign a 2-year deal with Miami so I can rehab, get paid a little bit this year, and then be ready next year. It's like, what if Miami's in a horrible situation? What if Bam has what happened to Halliburton or Tatum or himself, like at the end of the season? Now you're just on a Miami team for what reason? Yeah. So to me, it hasn't really made sense for him to sign with anybody until next year or until he's closer to coming back and he knows what a team is going to look like that he's joining. And from a Celtics point of view, there's kind of 2 ways I look at it. One, it's just a straight value play, right? Because if he's going to be on the Celtics, it's going to be for one of the exceptions next season, whether it's the taxpayer or the mid-level, which we might open up with some different financial moves. So it's like somewhere in the $7 to $14 million range. And it's like Dame is still, who knows when he comes back from injury, he's several years older than Tatum. He's in his mid-30s. He might not come back quite the same, but you would expect that player to still be more than that contract, right? His value to exceed that. So it's a great value play from that standpoint because he knows in his back of his mind he's getting some type of reimbursement from the Bucks deal. The other side of it is just like looking. Let's say Tatum. Let's say this is next year with what we know. Tatum's back. I doubt Anfernee Simons is on this team next year. Could be because I don't think Brad's going to lose that asset. So Brad might extend him and then just continue to use him as like a human trade exception. But I don't know. It's just the aged Dame with this team. I don't know how much more he's giving you than Peyton Pritchard. And essentially, I feel like you're having, he's better than Peyton Pritchard, but you have kind of 2 versions of a guys doing the same thing, which I don't know how much that moves the needle for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one argument for Dame Lillard is like, if you even post Achilles, let's say Dame signs for an equivalent contract of Peyton Pritchard, who would you rather have on your team?
Right. It's likely Dame. We have to account for the potential of the injury. He's never back to the same. It's likely Dame because then you think about just closing a game out, even if, and this is a little bit of on a lesser scale, Kevin Durant in Houston. And part of the reason I love it so much is he doesn't have to be the guy that's, doing everything for you. It's like Kevin Durant, last 5 minutes. This is the main thing we need. With Dame Lillard, it's you kind of need Peyton Pritchard to be your 82 game guy, and then you need Dame Lillard to be your last 5 minutes of a game guy that can help close out games with Jaylen Brown, with Jason Tatum. Like that's kind of more what you need and what you're bringing him in for, and that's going to be a really big, a really immense value to this team, as we've seen, because they have trouble closing teams out. Even winning a championship, that was an issue for this team. Yeah. So
that's what Dame specializes in, right? I want to bring up a comment here from Lloyd in the chat. He says, why waste a potential year of development experience for your young guards for the opportunity of improving before Tatum returns? You're not maximizing their potential by not creating paths to playing. Yeah, that's kind of what we're saying. We're not advocating right now for Dame to be on the Celtics this year. We're kind of just talking through all the different options here, Lloyd. I don't think either of us are kind of, leaning one way or the other at this point as we kind of talk it through. I think, the more I think about it next year, right? So this upcoming season, I don't think it makes any sense to have Dame on the roster. I agree with Lloyd's point that, you want to maximize chance for Peyton Pritchard to be the starting point guard, for JD Davison to be a 6-man, right? And all these, other guys that you might bring on to the roster. By the way, you saw we brought on Kenny Lofton onto the
I did see that.
The Summer League squad. Yeah. Summer League could be interesting, man. There's some players playing in there. But I think, I would say Dame on the Celtics, if it's for a minimum contract or for, $8 million and 26, 27, the books are cleared up and it actually makes sense financially to bring him on. I would rather have Dame on the Celtics than not have Dame on the Celtics and have Dame go to a team, in the East where he could make an impact at that same money. Milwaukee just gave everybody in the league a gift. They said, we really need to go all in to keep Giannis. So here's Dame Lillard where you don't have to pay him $60 million. That's the issue with Dame right now. Obviously he's hurt, but nobody wanted to pay him $60 million. But if you only have to pay him $8 million, makes some sense.
Yeah, it's kind of funny where the NBA is shifting to, where there's a lot of guys that we've talked about for so long that are bad contracts, but then it's when they start when they get bought out and they're making minimums, it's yeah, Brad Beal's not bad on a mid-level exception. DeAndre Ayton for 2 years at at 14 million, yeah, that's a pretty good flyer right there. You know what I mean? And I think this is what this CBA is going to start to warp some of those old contracts into, are these weird buyout situations where it's yeah, I am miserable if I have Zach LaVine at 45 million, but if I have Zach LaVine at 10 million, sign me up. And you made this point, I think, during the season. I thought it was really great about reassessing the value to each player. And it was specifically when we were talking about Brandon Ingram got traded to the Raptors. And I was like, oh, I like that move as long as they don't extend him at the money they did. And then they gave him another couple of years at 38, 40 million, which I don't think he can be a guy that takes up that level of a price slot for your roster. But if he's 20 million, 15 is too low. But if he's 20, 25 million, that's a lot. That's a great guy to have on your team right now. And so it's interesting seeing all of these things reshift the conversation. And one more comment here from our guy Lloyd. I'm just sick of putting my faith in the over the hill and injury prone players. No bueno. I mean, I agree. I don't think the Celtics have necessarily done that, to be honest, recently. I know with KP and with Drew, that was, KP was coming off the best season of his career. Yeah, KP was coming off the best season of his career in Washington, and Drew was still a championship level player. So I don't know that I would put them in that. And even if the Celtics had gone further in the playoffs this year, they would have still been retooling, maybe in a different fashion, but moving off of those guys to get more guys that kind of align with the Derek White, with the Jaylen Brown, with the Jason Tatum timeline. So now it's just really tough.
I don't know that you're putting faith in Dame, right? It's not like
I don't think you are. I think he's a luxury. He's a luxury that you feel probably is too valuable to pass up. Right. He's too valuable to pass up is what I think it would be. It's a value play that you just, if you're one of 3 or 4 teams he's interested in and he's willing to come to you for under $10 million, that's probably just too hard to pass up. And I think at that point, it just makes sense to do it. And if it doesn't work and it's on a 1 or 2 year deal, that's flexible to get out of. And that's the whole point of getting under these second aprons, is that, hey, this doesn't work out. Cool. We can put Dame and, sorry, Sam, I'm going to put you in a trade again. Put him and Sam Hauser together. There's $20 million right there potentially. Let's go get another guy that can't actually come in, which you can't do over the apron. So that's the whole point of this offseason. Not fun, but the Dame Lillard rumors definitely interesting. Can see kind of both sides of it. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, he's out for the season with just like Tatum is, assuming neither of those guys are likely to play in this upcoming year. Who knows? We'll have to stay tuned. Two other quick things here, Greg, and then we'll get to our trivia. I saw that there was another rumor here. I think this was coming from a Sports Illustrated article where they were just kind of doing some mock trades. Just want to get your quick thoughts. How would you feel about the Celtics trading Anfernee Simons? This would be before he even plays the game, but Anfernee Simons for Nick Claxton. So essentially, this is one of the thought processes we had about continuing to clear cap, where you go from Drew to Simons, and then even further down to Claxton. It's another 5 or 6 million. The money at this point, whatever, they'll figure it out to stay under the second apron. But as a basketball fit, Claxton's got a few more years. Simons isn't expiring. Any taste for Nick Claxton experience? I think he's 18, 20 million. I'll look it up while you're talking. It's a little bit less than whatever Simons is.
I mean, he's probably a better player. Not probably. He's a better player than Luke Cornett, right? So you're getting an upgrade there. He's the type of big that the Celtics kind of haven't had. It was a true lob threat who can't shoot since Robert Williams, right? So he's the first guy that really fits the Rob Williams mold. And Celtics fans love Rob Williams. So he probably can't shoot even as good as Rob, though. Like Nick Claxton is not a good shooter.
We used to get so excited over those like once a month Rob Williams baseline jumpers.
Right.
We used to go nuts over those. We just analyze them. It's coming.
Like 90%
it's coming. He's the new KG. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. So I mean, Nick Claxton's a really good defender. He's very switchable. He doesn't just play drop. I think, putting him in a lineup surrounded by shooters where he's kind of in that old Dwight Howard on Orlando mold, I think that could really work. I mean, I would probably rather just watch Simons just entertainment wise this year, but in terms of long-term future building, I think that's pretty good value to get back for Simons, is to get a center that other teams definitely around the league would at least be interested in. And, maybe you flip him for something greater down the line if he develops, or maybe you have your center of the future because he's still a pretty young dude. So I think I'd be okay with it. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a move that could impact the roster when Tatum returns. So Claxton is looking it up here. He's got 3 years left here at 25, 23, and 20. So it's all descending value, which is really nice for the team. Yeah. Simon's on the expiring just around a little over 27. So it's like a $2 million difference for this year, but then 2 more years at a descending rate. To your point, I just think because the Celtics lack so much guarantee, so much of a, there's no guarantee about the future of the front court for the Celtics, right? Yeah. You mentioned before, there's nothing on, right now sports wise. Started watching an old Warriors Celtics game yesterday from the beginning of the season. Warriors beat the Celtics early on in the season, but it was one of Neemias Queta's best games. He had like 14 points and 8 rebounds or something like that. And so it made me, it gave me a little bit of check of like, hey, you know what? Neemi's actually going to be kind of fun to watch this year to see where he's at with his development. And maybe that's the one side that I would say you don't want Nick Claxton, because maybe Nemi could be a version of Nick Claxton and even cheaper than Nick Claxton, right? I think that would be the ultimate internal argument for the Celtics is how different do we think Nick Claxton and Neemias Queta are as far as their development? Because Neemias Queta costs $2-3 million. And even if he has a breakout year, he's not jumping up to 25 million. Right. He might jump up to 10 million if he has a really, really good, he might get the Luke Cornett contract that just happened. Right. And so that still becomes the better play long-term financially. So I think that's what would have to be decided, because right now Nick Claxton's better, but this is going to be Neemi's first chance being basically a full-time starter with a real opportunity to kind of make his mark here. So I'm interested.
I think that would have to be a 3-team deal though, because like why do the Nets want Simons when they already have all those guards and they already have Cam Thomas?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it just could just be, hey, Simons and Michael Porter Jr., that's our offense, and we're just gonna try to build defense after that. I don't know. The Nets are kind of
better than Cam Thomas though.
Yeah, I hope so. I really don't like Cam Thomas, so I hope Anfernee Simons is better. I
need to watch more Simons. I've always liked him. I'm not going to sit here and say I was studying Cam Thomas tape this year.
Trailblazers were a bottom 5 league pass team. I think them. I'm trying to think. Trailblazers and Jazz, maybe the Nets. Wizards are probably Nets. Those are like the bottom. And I did like the Kings 2 years ago, so I watched a decent amount of them then. I don't know. There's got to be like one other team I'm missing, but those are like easy top 4, like bottom league pass teams that if the Celtics aren't playing them, I'm not watching them.
Yeah. So I haven't crushed the tape on either of those dudes to have like a truly informed opinion. So I'm not going to sit here and try and make a case for either of them. I think it's just something I'll have to like learn this year is like how good is Simons. I've liked him when I've seen him. I've had moments with Cam Thomas where I've liked what I've seen from him, but he seems a little bit more like empty calorie than Simons does. But Simons is also more experienced than Cam. So.
All right. And quickly before we go to our trivia here, Al Horford still unsigned. Looks like he's deciding between the Warriors, the Lakers, and retirement. Although Jonas Valanciunas now apparently deciding to go to Europe may reopen an opportunity for him to go to the Nuggets. Not sure if that's in play. That's my dream scenario for Al Horford if he's not going to be in the Celtics green, is for him to go to Denver. But Greg, retirement, Lakers, or Warriors? If it's just those 3 options, what are you hoping for Al Horford?
Warriors. I think Warriors. I think Al's still got a year of basketball left in him. So I would rather him go help another team. And like I even though we lost to the Warriors since Steph's rise have always kind of been like a second team that I root for. So I would probably say Warriors, and I'd like to see Al just like, make an impact there. And I think when Draymond Green is able to develop that level of chemistry with Steph Curry, I would say Al Horford is pretty close to Draymond in terms of like the way he sees the game offensively. So I would like to see what kind of chemistry he develops with Steph. I think that'd be a really fun pairing.
Yeah, I think it's Warriors, retirement, Lakers. Lakers just even outside of the Celtics Lakers thing, just adding DeAndre Ayton to LeBron's bullshit and whatever else is going on there, like it just sounds like a really unenjoyable year for Al Horford to go there. And I don't want to see that for my guy. So Warriors, retirement, or if the Nuggets are back on the table, go to the Nuggets, Al. Please, if that's back on the table, go to the Nuggets. I think that's like your Nirvana spot with like the most real chance of actually winning a title.
Jokic deserves, as good as Jokic is, he deserves a second title. I think that'd be really 1, good historically for him just to like have that.
And they've had an unreal offseason. They've rebuilt their team with when I thought they had no assets. And if they were to cap it off with Al Horford, I think it's right up there with the Rockets as easily the 2 best off seasons for any team in the NBA this season. All right, guys, it's the offseason. Let's have some fun. We are going to bring in our video intern here, the video intern, Alex Gonzalez, going to come in here, and we're going to do a little bit of trivia. I'm going to be real with you. Alex is taking this on his own here. Greg and I don't really know what's coming. So, Alex, welcome back here. This is your second time back on this podcast here. Survivor enthusiast specialist. Went to the bullpen for you early, bringing you right back here. Part of like a doubleheader for you. So, jump in here, man. What do we got going? What do we got cooking for this trivia?
All right. So, this was something I made after the draft because I was curious about it. So I looked up the last 15 first overall picks born in the USA. There's a little July 4th themed, but we didn't record then. So there's a little thing in the top right corner. And I was thinking I'd give you guys 3 strikes. So if you get one wrong, that's a strike, 3, and then it's done. I think it's pretty gettable. And we'll see. There's a couple names, so we'll see. Okay. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
So, Will, do you want to go most recent and work our way back?
Well, so I think we're playing versus. Are we playing versus each other?
No, you're playing together. Oh,
we're playing together. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's
I think we can do this easily. Let's do it.
Let's just go around the board the way it's listed out. Let's see how we do, and we'll skip the ones that we think we need to. So we got the Mavs up first. That's just Cooper Flag.
Yep. Cooper Paulo Banchero.
So Pistons here. I'm gonna assume that's
Cade.
Before we lock it in, it's Cade Cunningham, right?
Yep. Cade.
Okay. And then Ant at 4.
Yep.
Zion.
Pelicans. We're looking at Zion. Sixers 2017. That's gonna be Markelle Fultz.
Yes, it is.
All right. And we're back to the T-Wolves.
Is this
Cat?
Yep.
I thought he was born in the Dominican, but okay.
No, I looked it up. He
plays for the Dominican, but
he was born in New Jersey. I had to make sure I clarified that.
2012. We looking at AD
with the Hornets.
Yes, we are.
AD. Oh, good pull, Greg. What does that say? 2010 here for the Wizards.
Yep.
So is that John Wall?
Yes, it is. That is John Wall.
All right, we got John Wall here.
2009, Blake Griffin.
Yep.
Derrick Rose. Greg Oden.
Yep.
Dwight Howard.
2004 Orlando Magic. Greg's
Dwight
favorite.
Howard. Dwight Howard, LeBron James, and Kwame Brown.
Yeah, that's correct. Let's go. Let's go.
Well,
Easy money.
That was a little too easy. We'll have to do a little bit harder next time.
I love it. I thought that was gonna get us for a second, but good job, Greg. I'm impressed with us here. We got that pretty easily.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to try
not a lot of Hammond and Han? Yeah, let's do it.
This is the one Greg did last time when it was just me and him. We could try it. There's a little typo in the top part. It's not the most playoff wins. It's the most playoff games played since 2015.
Since 2015. Okay.
Yes.
So number 1 here is from the Warriors. I'm going to assume that's Steph Curry.
Steph Curry is number 4.
He's number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So then number 1 would be Draymond.
Yes.
Okay.
One clarification. If the player is retired, the team listed is the team that have their most playoff games played on. Or if they're a free agent, same thing.
Okay. So number 2 on this list is a Boston Celtic. So, I mean, there's 3 Celtics out here. I'm just going to assume it's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Al Horford are going to be the 3 Celtics that are represented.
Al Horford's 2, JB's 5, Tatum's 8.
Dude, Al's longevity in the playoffs is so crazy. Like his I mean, we went over this when they won the championship last year, where I think, what was he, top 50, Greg, in points, rebounds, and assists all time for the playoffs. Just an incredible career. Fucking love Al. God, hope he makes the right choice. Don't go to the Lakers.
Why don't you go by team? We'll get all the.
That's what I'm trying to do. I think that's easier here. So, for the Lakers over here, that's going to be LeBron.
Yep.
So let's go back to the Warriors real quick. So I got Draymond, I got Steph. Is Clay the other guy? Oh, there's 4 Warriors on here, so Clay is one of them.
Clay is number 3, Mavericks.
Okay. Oh, because on the good call. Okay, that threw me off. So you mentioned retired. So Andre Iguodala, is he on here somewhere?
Number 7.
Okay,
that's the one I didn't get.
We got one more Warrior on here. I feel like this has got to be pretty obvious. So I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but he was on the Warriors, and it's a Phoenix Sun out here, and that's going to be Kevin Durant.
It is not Kevin Durant.
It is not Kevin Durant. Oh, interesting. Okay. We'll come back to that. Okay, we got one more Warrior to get here. Kevon Looney?
It is not Kevon Looney.
That one is stumping me. Okay, I gotta maybe circle back on that one. Let's see, Clippers logo that I'm looking at right now. Let's go with Kawhi Leonard.
It's not Kawhi Leonard.
Not Kawhi. James Harden.
Yes, James Harden.
There we go. All right, let's see what else we got here. And so once again, the logo that I'm seeing is the team that they're currently on.
Or if they're retired, it's that same logo. Although the Raptors logo is not updated.
Played the most games with.
Yeah, if they are retired.
Is that Wizards?
Or if they're a free agent.
Wizards and Raptors throwing me off a little bit here. Let's see. So we got Cavaliers, Spurs. And this could even fall under the Raptors. Is Danny Green one of these?
Yes, he is. He's the Spurs, tied for 14.
Spurs. Okay. Yep. He's played on so many teams that I was like, he's played on like 4 of the teams that are up here. So I feel like that's a pretty safe guess. All right. So the ones I got left here are the
10, 11, 12, 12, and 14.
Okay. 12, 14. Let's see. And Greg, this is the one that you did while I was out, correct?
Yeah. And there's one of them that if you don't get it, you're going to kick yourself, because that happened to me.
Yeah. I'd say these last 5 a little bit challenging, a little deceiving.
Yeah, I mean, there's I feel like Russell Westbrook should be up here, but I don't think he is.
He is not.
Oof, this is kind of
do the Wizards one. That's the one that I was really mad I didn't get.
Well, real quick, let me say, is Donovan Mitchell on here?
He is not.
He's not. Okay, damn. All right, thought I had that one. The Wizards one. The Wizards. Marcus Smart?
Yep, Marcus Smart.
There we go. Okay. Little bit of assist on that one.
Yeah.
I haven't got the Suns yet, right? Because it wasn't Kevin Durant, so it wouldn't be Devin Booker. Who else has been on the Suns, played in a bunch of playoff games? Chris Paul?
Not Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is not on this list. Okay.
Because he was on the Spurs.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say the player for the Suns played for the Celtics.
This one's hard.
Yeah.
Another one of those dudes that's just been on like a shit ton of teams.
Yeah.
Glue guy.
Good glue guy. Played on the Celtics. Oh man.
Thorn in my side.
Okay, so sorry, I keep asking this, but remind me again, which are the 3 that I'm looking for here?
Raptors, Suns, Cavs.
Raptors, Suns, and Cavs. Let's see here. I'm trying to think through this here, but I'm drawing blanks on these right now.
Okay, let me give you a hint on number 12 with the Suns. was like my arch nemesis in the bubble.
I thought that was Pascal Siakam, but that's not him. Your arch nemesis in the bubble? I'm trying to think of.
Who did I not believe in that proved me wrong?
Oh, it's Jay Crowder.
Yes, it is. It was Jay Crowder.
God damn, Jay Crowder. Yeah, definitely. Jay Crowder is so far off like my mindset right now. Like I forgot about him as like, is he technically a free agent right now? I don't even know where Jay Crowder is these days.
I think he's either a free agent or he is retired. I know he's not in the team. That's why.
Okay.
So you have one more free agent and then one player that might be a free agent. I know he was on the Cavs last season.
Okay, was on the Cavs last season. I'm trying to think of a guy that they might have had like towards the back end of their bench. Jared Allen, Elvin Mobley, wasn't Darius Garland, wasn't Max Strus.
This is an OG, Will.
An OG that's on the back end of the Cavaliers bench.
Also played for the Celtics.
Is this going to be God, why am I blanking on his name? Not Markieff Morris, but Marcus Morris?
No, it's not.
No.
Brief stint in Boston. The dreaded double big lineup.
The dreaded double big lineup.
Worst double big lineup the Celtics ever put out there.
I feel like I'm going to be kicking myself right now. Worst double big lineup.
Dated a celebrity.
Played with LeBron.
Dated a celebrity. I mean, for some reason my head went to Chris Humphries. I know it's not Chris Humphries, but that was the first.
Same family.
Yeah,
maybe even the same.
Tristan Thompson.
Yeah,
Tristan Thompson.
There we go. That's whoever thought that the Kardashians would lead us to the right answer. There's actually, because James Harden also dated a Kardashian out here as well too. So they actually work.
How many of the people on the list have dated a Kardashian?
I know. Okay, so then we just got to go to the Raptors here for the final one. And this player?
I don't even remember this one.
This player is a free agent. He was on the Sixers last year. I absolutely hate him.
Was on the Sixers last year. You got this one, Greg? If you got it,
now I know. Yeah,
go ahead, say it.
Point guard.
Oh, this is Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry.
Oh God, that's also one of Greg's least favorite players in the entire league too.
Don't be ass.
Kyle Lowry. There you go.
All right. Well, I like this challenging. Yeah, that was good. That one was definitely quite a bit tougher. So this is gonna be something that we're doing throughout the offseason here, Alex. So Alex, as the quiz master behind the scenes, we'll probably be doing this at least once a week with some format, with some more of these that can try to challenge Greg and I. We conquered today's challenge collectively pretty easily. The last one, that was pretty challenging. I like that one, Alex. So you got some work ahead of you here. We'll have some more of that coming up here. But as we mentioned, right now, we're just kind of in a waiting pattern, waiting to see what else drops from free agency trades. Summer League is starting, coming up here in the next week or so. So we will have some more to talk about. But boys, any final thoughts here before we sign off on this 4th of July weekend?
Alex, what's the next season of Survivor I should watch? So I watched the Russell season and I watched the first Survivors All-Stars that has Richard Hatch, Boston Rob, people like that.
The best season that most fans agree on is called Heroes versus Villains.
Okay.
That's
is Russell on that?
I believe he is.
Yeah, I'll watch that. Dude, this Russell dude, Will, he's so interesting.
Yeah. Also,
would you agree he looks
Goliath.
like? Okay. Yes, would you agree that Russell looks like a garden gnome?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has the exact archetype. He's like a short little, was like 5'4", just like runs around. I mean, he's really an incredible.
Hey, we don't discriminate against short kings around here, all right?
No, you're not that short, Will. You're
I'm not that short, but hey, listen, we start moving the line down. when does the line make it to where I am? Okay. I gotta defend my guys.
First they came for the 5'9ers, then they came for the 5.
Right. They're knocking down our walls here, man. I'm my watch is still going right now. Okay. I'm still defending the wall right now for our short kings. It takes multiple of us to do it. So we got to stack each other up here. But all right, Survivor. Apparently that's a new topic that we got for this offseason here. So we will check back in with that on a later episode. But that'll do it for this one here. Everybody go enjoy the rest of your week here. We appreciate you guys, and we will be checking back in as Summer League gets going, as news breaks. So make sure you are locked in with Green with Envy here across all of our social medias, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all of them. Make sure you guys are hitting us up. Appreciate you guys and talk to you later. Peace.